Hey all, Paul from pbmentors.com here once again to talk about these guys. What a run, what a rush. This has been so fun, and I've had it, watching the Lions has been so fun. What they've done is so incredible, but me doing this has been a lot of fun. This is in a way a dream come true. As a youngster, for those who maybe are seeing this for the first time, when I was a really, really small guy, 10, 12, 13 years old, I always had a dream to be on SportsCenter. This is not that, not trying to be that, but this is really kind of fun. I used to write up predictions on games and I'd list out the roster. So this is kind of a cool moment, and it's about the Lions, which my whole life I've suffered with, as we all know, that SOL, which is no more. It's a lot of fun. So I'm glad to be here with you guys again for another week of this. Hopefully, if we get a little bit fortunate, we can actually do this again in 2 weeks. We'll skip next week, or maybe we'll do a preview next week, and then we'll come back in 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. So we're through Tampa Bay, and we're on to San Francisco Sunday, 6:30, about 67-degree weather. Looking good to play those guys. Before I get into the preview of this matchup and talk about a couple of really interesting things, first a recap on Tampa Bay. Pretty much went exactly how I thought it would. Lions are a locomotive right now. A team like Tampa is just not good enough to stop us. We got just about anything that we wanted, and it's ironic that my preview last week pretty much came through and true. I said either Godwin or Evans would get theirs. Evans got a little bit. I said Rashad White is best player on their team, and he got his up right back. I even said he might leave the game with an injury. He left the game with an injury, but he ended up coming back. I said Baker Mayfield was known and prone to make a big mistake. He did just that. Vita Vea most of the way stopped the run, made it difficult, but I knew that their corners couldn't stop what we were doing. And I want to thank everybody for their support too and playing along with this. I mean, the text that I've gotten, the Facebook things, the phone calls has been pretty cool. And those that were interacting with me on Facebook during the game, I was upset. I was really, really upset that Gibbs was not in the game. I knew he was the key all along. It was his speed that had to get to the outside and get away from Vita Vea and have our linebackers our offensive line pick off their linebackers to create some space. And Montgomery's terrific for what he does, but you need some speed to get to the outside. You need to be able to swing him the ball. Guy can make plays. He can go 70 on any play. And he had 13 touches total. What? Can't happen. I'll get to that in a minute here for the San Fran preview. So what a game. Pretty awesome. Thing about it is you can't really complain, right? But you cannot make some of the errors and the mistakes like you did against the Rams and the Bucs and expect to get away with those things with the Niners. If you run yourself into a position where you lose 5 or 6 minutes or 8 minutes of opportunity by not having a guy like Gibbs on the field, San Francisco is way too good to be able to recover from that. So hopefully that they all learn from that and understand, you're not going to be able to just have your way with perfectly, doing a split back scenario in a game like this. This is time for the ball to be in your best players' hands. Let them do what they do and force feed them at will, creatively and strategically. Don't hand everything that you're trying to do on some scripted platter per se, but got to get those guys involved. So really great to see the Lions do what they did. They made the plays when they were supposed to. Derek Barnes stepped up big. The pressure was there. Big sacks on Mayfield at important times of the game. For us, not so good for them. He is better than what he used to be, but he's still a glorified game manager. He's not a difference maker to win games, and I'll get to that in a moment about San Francisco. So, again, thank you for all of your support. It's been so awesome as we're doing this, and I'm building out PB Mentors, and our YouTube channel is live now. So make sure to check that out at pbmentors.com, at PB Mentors on YouTube. We'll have a lot of different things, exciting things coming. Not so much sports, but the other things. This is more just fun. So as we come into this week's game, all right, so let me just break this down. I've been pretty fortunate. So when Dan Campbell was hired, 3 weeks or 4 weeks after he was hired, I predicted the Lions to be into the Super Bowl, as a participant in the Super Bowl within 5 years. We have a chance now to go to the Super Bowl at the end of 3 years. That's pretty crazy. Beginning of the year, opening night against Kansas City, about an hour before game time, I picked the Lions at 12-5. They went 12-5. Okay, so here's a really, and Brad Holmes too. I ended up being pretty fortunate on Brad Holmes. I had followed him quite a bit when he was with the Rams and under Les Snead, and had a good idea what he would do over here, and guys just hitting him out of the park. So here's a really odd thing. The San Francisco 49ers are one of my favorite teams. I was a huge proponent of John Lynch becoming the GM there, and the hiring of Kyle Shanahan I thought was brilliant. 1 year into them getting together, after a year, I predicted them to win a Super Bowl within 5 years from that time. This is 5 years. That's kind of spooky. I took a lot of heat for that too, right? Because they lost to the Rams in Stafford, 1 game short of getting into the Super Bowl, and the Rams ended up winning it. The Trey Lance debacle, first round, pick like that, and you miss. And then somehow out of that, you continue to build an all-world team, and you take the last pick, 252, Mr. Irrelevant of the NFL draft, and Brock Purdy, and the guy comes in, and he's above a game manager. This is really crazy that these two predictions ended up being the case. I loved San Fran as a kid. Jerry Rice, John Taylor, the whole group, Steve Young, Joe Montana, Roger Craig. I mean, the list, Ronnie Lott, the list is endless. And so as it comes down to this game, 49ers are number 2. Sorry. It's these guys, been my whole life, Lions first. But it's just ironic that both of those things it converges in one game in the NFC Championship to get to the Super Bowl, where I had predictions for both teams to go to the Super Bowl basically at the same time, and here we are. Lions still have some time, and they may not get this. They might not. It's possible. This game can really go either way. So the Niners, probably is close to the most perfect team that I've ever seen in my life. They have layers upon layers of guys at every level. So O-line, quarterback Purdy's playing very well. Your backfield, your offensive backfield, obviously McCaffrey. Defensive line, ridiculous. There's all pros at every position on the D-line. Warner at linebacker and others. A solid secondary. Extremely well coached. Jake Moody's a terrific kicker, Michigan guy for all you huge Michigan fans. Deebo Samuel on one side, if he plays. Ayuk on the other side. Juwan Jennings, which is probably the best third down receiver in history. The guy does nothing but get first downs because nobody covers them because they have so many other people to cover. And Kittle at tight end. It's like, how do you stop that, right? So here's the deal with the Lions. Again, 67-degree weather. It's a little bit slower track, which I'm a bit concerned about that. However, the weather's going to be nice. Temperature's pretty much the same as what they're going to play indoors. We'll see if there's a little bit of wind that maybe affects some things. The key to beating San Francisco, in my view, is the following. You must, absolutely must, give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs in one form or fashion a minimum of 25 times. 13 touches, come on, 9 rushes and 4 receptions. There's a couple additional targets there. He didn't get them, so he could have had 15 or 16. But you must get the ball in his hand 25 times and force that team to stop him. And if you're doing that, and he's the central focus, it should be at 80-20 usage. 80% to Gibbs, 20% to Montgomery. Use Montgomery in short yardage and goal line situations if you need it. But you got to get Gibbs creatively out in space, one-on-one. Warner's probably the best guy in the league to match up with him in space in terms of a linebacker. But let's just be real. There is no one that can truly stay with him. So whether it's a wheel route, whether it's swings, whether it's stick nods, whatever it may be, you got to get that guy the ball. Obviously, St. Brown is a huge part of this. He's going to run his precise routes. He's going to be there. Laporta's going to be there. He's going to have his. Reynolds is going to be there. Jameson Williams, they got to get the ball more to him. You got to have a couple of game breakers working here. Laporta is terrific. He's not going to go 60, though. Reynolds not going to go 60. Generally speaking, St. Brown's not going to go 60, although he did in the one game a couple weeks back. You got to get the ball into Gibbs' hand. You got to get the ball into Jameson's hands. You got to get up ahead of this team a little bit. You have to force Purdy to play from behind, which he's not accustomed to doing. They're used to playing either in a tight game or playing from ahead, which is a completely different philosophy. Deebo Samuel is a massive, massive decider in this game. If he doesn't play or he's nowhere near 100%, that's a huge get, for the Lions. Ayuk obviously becomes the number one, and he's a 1A anyway. He's a terrific player. Kittle, they're going to try to get him the ball. Man, we need Jack Campbell and Anzalone to cover him up, and he is no easy cover. The guy's just absolutely crazy with yards after catch. He can catch anything. He's got great speed. And put the ball over his shoulder, right in his chest, doesn't matter. So I believe that the key to this game, and it's the key to most any game, it was the key to Stafford, it was the key to Mayfield, is they have got to make Brock Purdy look as close as they can to the 7th round pick that he was. Now, do I think he's 7th round, 252nd pick overall bad? No, I do not. Do I think he's top flight all pro? No, I do not. I think he is very much a product of the system that Shanahan has, which is arguably one of the best in history. And he's got weapons all around him. And those type of weapons make me and you look good out on the field. I mean, McCaffrey, come on, let's just be serious here. This guy can't go to most teams like a C.J. Stroud and play with more limited players. He has nowhere near the ability of C.J. Stroud. Put C.J. Stroud, on San Francisco, they're even better than they are now. So I don't think he's that much of a difference maker, though he deserves a little bit more credit than usual. He's a small guy, and again, the pressure's got to come from up the middle. McNeil's got to have a monster game. Trent Williams, one of the best left tackles in the history of the game. Hutchinson's, they got to line him up on the other side because Trent Williams is a beast. So whether you're running twists or stunts or you're putting Hutchinson on the other side, you've got to do that and keep Okora on the other side and let Hutchinson work on the other tackle. I believe that Aaron Glenn's got to basically run somewhere between 50 and 60% of the snaps have to be blitz. And I know you're taking a chance, and I know you're putting your defensive backfield, at a disadvantage as far as that goes. But if you sit back and you only rush 4, they just have too many weapons. They can go short game. They can go quick slants. There's so many things that they can do. Swing the ball to McCaffrey. They have unlimited options. So you literally have to be in Purdy's face constantly to force him into a mistake and don't let him be comfortable. And you can't just do that on a natural base formation. You've got to up the ante and send more guys than they can block. When they adjust, you move it around a little bit. You're not going to go do that, 10 plays consistently and show your cards, but you've got to get to him. You've got to force them into long field goals, punting situation. Just basically, the Lions have to dominate the line of scrimmage offensively, control the clock. It's huge. Again, like last week, you're going to get a quick score in 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. You're going to take it. You're not going to not take it, but you've got to keep those weapons off the field, and you've got to establish a lead. You win the toss, go right at it again. Take the ball and go right down the field, send a message, try to take the crowd out of it. Any of you heard Todd Bowles, when the sideline reporter asked him the question, he said, our plan was to come in, take the crowd out of the game. And for a minute there, they were out of the game. And, you get the ball, you can't go 3 and out, right? That just kind of, then you got to get a turnover to make things flip the other way to even out the possessions, and can't have that happen, not against a team like this. They basically have to play a perfect game. And I don't believe it or not, I don't believe that we've seen the Lions' very best yet. And I think this game has got to be the very best game to have a chance. This is money time, man. This is Baltimore, Kansas City, San Francisco, and the Lions. Yep, the Lions, Final Four. 1991, I was at the Dallas game in the divisional round. Following week, the Washington Redskins, the big Redskins, right? 41-10, we lost. It was over, before it started. I don't think that's the case here. I think the Lions have a real chance here. I think this is a nip-and-tuck game. I do think 7 points is probably too much. I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time. I'm going to root like hell for the Lions. And I'm going to be locked in, with some friends here in Florida in front of the TV, 75-inch, man, and I'm going to just be locked in, zoned in, screaming at the TV and screaming out loud like I was last week. I'm going to do that again. I'm not going to pick a prediction, although I do think this game is going to be extremely, extremely high. Some of you have been saying, like, I'm too hot and you're looking for my picks. I'm not going to give you a point spread pick, but I'll tell you, over 51.5 is one of the most solid picks that you'll ever come across. Both these offenses are going to put up points. As good as the defensive line, I mean, my gosh, Joey Bosa, seriously, Chase Young, Armstead, They got guys all over the place. It's almost like it's not fair. It's like, how do you even get that many people underneath the salary cap? You know how? Because you don't have 25, 30, 35, $40 million a year in your quarterback. That's how that worked. That gig's coming up soon. But I think both teams can score against each other. The Lions are going to give up a lot of points here. They just are. San Francisco's too good, and the Lions are going to have to score with them. And it's going to come down to a turnover. I know it's cliche. Everybody says it. But it's going to come down to a turnover here and there, a big play here and there, perhaps may come down to an injury. And if Samuel's not playing, that really limits a lot of what San Francisco would like to do. The guy is a weapon all over the field. He does get injured a lot, but he's tough as nails. He'll go across the middle. He'll carry the ball, goal line. I mean, the guy does everything. So, he's going to be less than 100 even if he plays. It's not going to be 100%, so that's advantage Lions. But make every big play when the opportunity is there. You got to blitz 55% of the time. Jahmyr Gibbs touched the ball 25 times at least. And maybe if it's 30, it's 30, right? Put yourself in every possible position to win the game. Maybe a bubble screen here and there to Jameson Williams. Get him set up on a slant, and the guy can go 80. You have to force the ball to him a little bit. They're not going to be able to cover St. Brown and Laporta and him and Reynolds. They're just not going to be able to do it with the understanding or with the fear that Gibbs is going to come out of the backfield. Get the ball in Jameson Williams' hands. These are your playmakers. These are your game breakers, and you're going to need something to just shock them, and you're going to need to get ahead of them and force Purdy to be in a different circumstance, which he is not familiar with. So if there's a place to attack, it is, and he's a pretty solid kid. I mean, again, I want to give the guy credit. He's been just nails, but he hasn't come down. First of all, he's never really played. He got injured last year. He never played in an NFC Championship game against caliber of an opponent like this, like the Lions. Yes, I said it. A caliber opponent like this, like the Lions. Force him to come from behind. Force him to put balls in windows that he doesn't normally want to because he's pressing a little bit. Then you got an opportunity to make a play and swing things, get up 14, get up 17. The whole complexion of the game can change. So I'm looking forward to this. Like I said it last week, I'll say it again. No Sunday ever. Last Sunday was the biggest Sunday. Now this is the new biggest Sunday. And hopefully 2 weeks from Sunday is even a bigger Sunday. As far as KC and Baltimore, I didn't like Mahomes' first couple of years because praise. And I like to see a guy earn it over time. He's proven it. That guy is something else. But in this particular case, Baltimore is just insane. John Harbaugh is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Got to throw this in. His brother only wishes he was as good as him. Lamar Jackson's the difference in that game because of his legs, and I've never been a big Lamar Jackson guy. But Baltimore finally got a new old coordinator in there, started to open the offense up a little bit, got a few more weapons, and it's not just all Lamar Jackson, but if anybody shuts the other things down, he can really move the chains with his legs, and they're just solid in every phase of the game. And so I think we're looking at Baltimore in the Super Bowl. And we're going to see a hell of a game on Sunday decided by, I'll give you this, decided by 10 points or less and a solid chance that it's decided by 7 or less. It's going to be nip and tuck the whole game. I think you can argue that the Lions were mostly in control, and it never appeared like they were going to lose to San Francisco or to St. Louis and to Tampa Bay. This game is going to appear on more than one occasion that they might lose. And so we're really going to see the will and the resiliency of this team. We're going to see grit in full force. It's one game to get to the dance. All these guys, their entire lives dreaming of this moment. And, the culture they have on that team, the confidence that they have, it's very difficult to stop a team like that. And I don't care if it's on the road. You could technically say all the pressure's on San Francisco. Lions can play free. If the Lions lose, everyone's going to say they didn't deserve to be there and they're on the upswing. San Fran's got the pocketbooks opened up, 10 times over to put this team together. They've been close. They've been near. They've fallen off short. That type of payroll, man, the pressure's on them. So you got to get ahead of them, get them doubting themselves, get Purdy thinking, have them cycles going, and every single hit, you got to make them feel it. Let them know you're there and you're going nowhere. Make them beat you. Lions, put the ball in your biggest playmaker's hands, and that's not Laporta. It's just not. It's Gibbs and it's Williams. Get the ball to Gibbs and Williams relentlessly, particularly Gibbs, but Jameson Williams should see 6 to 8 targets minimum. You're going to connect on 1 or 2, and the dude can go 70, 30, 40, 25. He can change and flip the field. So everybody enjoy this. Thanks again for your support. This has been so much fun. I hope that we can do it again. Remember, find me on pbmentors.com. I can help personally and professionally. And don't forget, the new YouTube page is up and it's live at PB Mentors on YouTube. Until we see each other again, which is hopefully a recap of the Niner game and a preview of the Super Bowl against the Ravens. Till then, we'll talk to you. Have a great time, everybody. Enjoy. Bye-bye.